Hello, insiders. How are you guys today? I am really excited about our next tip, trick, or hack video. This one is a super simple video. I'm just gonna show you how to paint this awesome sponge technique. Let me do a little close up here. So it's really easy and really fun, but as with anything with painting or art, it's always fun to have somebody show you how to do it. So that's what I'm gonna do today. Let's get started. Alrighty. Okay, so I've already pre-painted this coaster, half of it, with just a little wash of white paint, and I've left half of it so that I could do the other half with you. But this half is dry, so I'll be able to use the sponge on it. But so for a wash, as you know, I recommend diluting all of our paint when painting on a ceramic surface. It's very porous, so I add the water. I've got the white paint in here. I add the water, and I like to do just a white wash when the background is white. You don't need a super thick surface. I'm just gonna and then I'm going to make sure to take some of the moisture off. And then we're just going to paint the rest of this. And by wash, I mean, it really just needs a very thin layer of white to make it more of that crisp white color. The bisque comes this kind of off-white, and I just like a sharper white color when I'm gonna be doing details on top. So I'm just gonna paint this second half over here with a little white wash, all right? And you can easily tell which part is dry and which part is wet. And it will look like this as soon as it has dried. So while this is drying, I can work on this part. And here it is with your sponging. I do recommend, if you have one, using what's called a sea sponge. These sea sponges are natural, and the cool thing about them is that they're relatively hard, which allows the paint to kind of sit on the surface, and it also allows you to really kind of make an impact with the sponge. This type of sponge, it's like an art sponge that you can buy. It's really quite soft, which is fine, and you can use it, but the reason I prefer the sea sponge for my sponging is because it is harder. And you can use a kitchen sponge, but the cool thing about a sea sponge is that it comes already with all these points, and here's another one that you can see. It comes with all of these different points and areas that you can use, kind of like a pin. You know, you can choose it, whereas a store-bought, kitchen sponge is a rectangle, and you would have to kind of cut yourself an angle, which you can do. But so I use a sea sponge, and I hope to be able to be offering them soon on the website. I'm going to be offering some more kind of accessories for all the painting tips that I'm teaching here. Won't that be fun? All right, so basic, you just kind of choose an angle or a point on the sponge. And I'm gonna choose this point because number one, it'll fit in the container. And if it doesn't fit, that's okay. You can transfer it to some aluminum foil. Now here is the tip. Do you see how it's kind of goopy on there? We don't want that. It'll just turn out goopy on your surface. So, and I've seen this happen many, many times in my studio where people will just dip it and go for it. But you don't want to do that. You do want to take the goop off. Okay, so we do want to take the goop off, just kind of brush the edges. Enough of that paint has been absorbed into the sponge that you're gonna still get your effect. So it's dry. It's a dry coating of that acrylic paint on the sponge surface. All right, And now we're just gonna go for it. You wanna do it lightly, okay? I'm gonna bring this a little bit closer. You just want to do it lightly. You don't want to press down too hard. You just want to dab it and make that little spongy pattern. And you can always go back and add more. So that is why I always go lighter at first, and then you can always add in some more. And if you want to go even lighter, you can. I'll show you. You just kind of tap it. You very lightly tap it. And you have the benefit, if you want to go a really light sponge look, then you're going to want to kind of really scrape some of that paint off onto another surface or onto a paper towel. But you just kind of tap, 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 up and down. You never want to like smear it. You want to go tap, 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 up and down, tap, 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 up and down. So that is the basics of using a sea sponge for painting. And I'm going to go ahead, this part is now dry. To clean your sea sponge, it's really easy. You just kind of dip it in the water and squeeze. And you can take it to the sink too, but you should be able to get a pretty good, it cleans out really easily in just a little cup of water, and then we can use a different color. It does get softer after you add the water, but that's why I like the sea sponges, because they do actually keep their rigidity to a certain degree. So let's see, I just kind of want to do this for fun. I'm going to add some glitter paint on top. And again, all right, so it's too goopy. I'm gonna scrape the sides. We want it fairly dry on the sponge. Now, since this red has not dried yet, what's going to happen, and I'm okay with it, is some of that red is probably gonna come up onto the sponge, but it's okay because we're blending anyway. And with these glitter paints, just so you know, the 4th of July has glitter paint in it. It does come off milky at first, but that milky background dries clear, kind of like a glue. It's just the medium to hold the glitter in there. Yeah, but I love glitter. Who doesn't love a little sparkle? So see what happened? It did pull up a little of the red paint, and then I put it back down, which I'm okay with because this is just for fun. But if you don't want to transfer, you always want to dry in between coats. All right, so that's proof of that. I'm gonna go ahead and use this other clean one, and let's go ahead and do some blue in the middle. Again, I'm gonna choose a point on the sea sponge. I'm gonna dip it, and then I'm going to, better angle. I'm going to dip it, and then I'm going to take off all the goopiness. We want it dry. You want to be able to see all of the texture of the sponge before you sponge it. All right. And I'm just going to do a little bitty sponge of blue in here just for fun. All right, that's it. Painting with a sponge is super fun and super easy. Just make sure that you dry in between coats, or else the paint will get onto the sponge, and then you'll be painting colors that you don't want to paint. So you don't want to do that. And just make sure it's not goopy before you paint with it. And good to see you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.